Hey Glass Gang, thanks for tuning in. Today we're taking a look at my solo Infinite VATS Human Elder's Mark build. This build is an endgame build that uses Civil Engineer and the Elder's Mark to get 1 minute solo times on the snake. You can use this with or without teammates. The build is dialed in to crit every other shot using limit breaking and conductors to return AP infinitely. If you have the mods set up exactly like you see on the weapons, armor, and special perk loadout, which I'll be breaking down later in the video after the testing. This is an update to my no coffee, no chems, no problem Infinite VATS commando build guide, and I will be updating the ghoul version later this week. So hit that like button, hit subscribe if you're new, and stay tuned. First test, we're gonna watch how I run the build. So I do run minimum buffs with this build, but as I stated, you don't need to have the buffs. You don't need coffee, you don't need chems, and you don't even need teammates on your team. But you would want them in order to trigger the taking one for the team perk card. It's a legendary perk on the build that gives this build 40% more damage. So we're gonna look at this build down here solo while on a team with mutated teammates. This will trigger things like strange in numbers and taking one for the team, but I'm down here solo. If you didn't know, you can join a team and enter the raid solo and fight the bosses as you want solo. So at the start of the fight, you'll want to target plate A and hold your critical attack button down until you get the cripple. You'll also want to start the fight with at least 6 stacks of Bulletstorm. You'll see that my Bulletstorm counter is going up at the bottom right of the stream, and at the start of the fight I started with 6. I do this by firing my weapon until I reload it and get that 6 stack of Bulletstorm, and this puts my weapon at a high enough damage threshold to guarantee that I'm going to cripple the snake every time I try. So at the start of the fight you want to do this. You want to spend some ammo to build up your Bulletstorm to at least 6 stacks to then target plate A, get the cripple on the snake, and this gives you 75% more damage for the remainder of the fight through perk cards on the build like Easy Target. So don't overlook this tactic. It's extremely important to get the cripple at the start of the fight. It shaves off a whole minute on average, not only because of Easy Target, but because of other cards on the build like Tormentor and Scattershot. So don't overlook these tactics if you want to get the most out of this build. And that's 1 minute solo on the Ultra Sight Terror with just the Elder's Mark and a Dream. Now we're going to watch the build completely unbuffed. No Blight Soup, no Overdrive, and no teammates, no problem. Now for Ultra Sight Test 2, I'm coming down here with no members on my team and no buffs. So things like taking one for the team and strange in numbers won't be working for me here. So I won't be getting 125% crit damage from Blight Soup. I won't be getting 30% more crit damage from Overdrive, things like that. So yeah, no buffs this time, no team, no problem. And what I start doing immediately is firing at the ground or the wall to build Bulletstorm stacks. You see your Bulletstorm counter at the bottom right of the screen, and this actually changes the damage on your weapon. And the more stacks you have, the more damage you have, up to 180% more damage at 20 stacks. Building up to 6 stacks gives the Elder's Mark enough damage without any extra buffs to cripple the snake solo, so that you can get the cripple at the start of the fight without all the extra buffs and not have to worry about it. And this way you'll get your 75% range damage to cripple targets from Easy Target and other crippling perks on the build that add more damage. So yeah, same as usual, target plate A and hold your critical attack button down until you get the cripple. Once the snake goes down, you'll want to swap to the eye. This is the weak point and will do the most amount of damage. One thing with the Elder's Mark is you'll want to make sure that you're close enough. The entire time I'm fighting the snake these both runs, you'll notice that I go right up to the edge of the platform to get as close as I can to the snake. This is because of close range perks on the build and the fact that the Elder's Mark struggles at range. It struggles to land shots at range, which will contribute to lost AP return. Things you don't want to do is mess up the weapon mods. You don't want to run Furious. You don't want to run Rapid. You don't want to run Prime Receiver. Stuff like that will actually negatively impact this build's ability to land shots in VATS and return AP and stay in VATS. And also, the AP cost will be too high with those mods. We already tested this build fully on stream with pinpointers and Prime, and we were getting the same times with standard receiver and conductors, suggesting the build is doing all the damage here. Rapid and Vital just end up with slower times because of fewer shots landing on the target. I'll be demonstrating that this weekend, so you'll want to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss that live stream. And that's 1 minute 23 seconds. So it literally shaves off 20 seconds by doing Blight Soup, Overdrive, and jumping on a team to come down here solo and get team benefits. When you see people hating in my comment section saying that the builds don't work without buffs or without teammates and that I'm not doing true solos, these are just tactics that shave off time. None of the builds are ever crutched on buffs. They all literally just shave a maximum of 10 to 20 seconds. Well, guess what? They're just coping. They're just lying. They don't know what else to say, I guess. They can't believe their eyes, apparently. This is the Elder's Mark I'm using. It has the Quad, VATS Enhanced, VATS Optimized Conductor's Legendary mod. These mods are important and should not be overlooked. Quad allows you to basically kill the snake by death by volley of bullets. Basically, if you run furious on this, you'll be reloading so much it'll negatively impact your time to kill, meaning it'll take longer to kill the snake. With Quad, you're able to reach 20 stacks of Bullet Storm, getting 180% more damage out of the weapon, and it significantly is impacting this weapon. Another thing to not overlook is the base mods. I have the standard receiver, short light barrel, recoil compensating stock, medium quick eject drum, and the glow sights. While the medium quick eject drum is optional, you could do a large quick eject if you'd like. I prefer the reload speed on a medium quick, and I still have a nice 200 round magazine, so that's the difference there. You get 50 more rounds per magazine with large, just keep that in mind, but it is a slower reload. With standard receiver, you want this. It reduces the AP cost all the way down to 7 AP. If you put anything else like prime or anti-armor, it'll mess this up. You won't be able to stay infinite VATS. Short light barrels, the only mod there. Recoil compensating stock's the best mod there. Glow sights also reduces your AP cost. Very important to have. Don't run the reflex sight. This is the armor set I'm using. It's a full set of Mutants Civil Engineer armor. I went with Mutants here to keep it original to the build, having Overeater's damage reduction armor. Mutants has now been changed to be a damage reduction mod. Up to 5% damage reduction as you acquire more mutations, currently 4.5%. I'm not at 5% because you need all mutations in order to have that 5%, and it's just too much. There's some that are negative side effects that are impacting this build too much, so I found that there's a sweet spot of around 11 mutations. That brings us to 4.5%. So we're getting almost full value. We're getting 22.5 damage reduction total. And because the enemies were nerfed down here, I'm going to show you a little graph here that someone made in our Discord. Shout out to Hobak for sharing this in our Discord. So this shows that the enemies down here in the raids were nerfed by, in some cases, 50%. So their damage output was nerfed, and yeah, the damage you're going to take from them is nerfed. So this is a lot. This is a big deal. This changes a lot. It means that even though I'm only at 22% total damage reduction, I don't need that 36% from Overeaters so much anymore, and it still feels tankier. So this is a very good option. You don't have to worry about having sky high health to get the most out of Vanguards or something. You don't have to run like any buffs to maintain that, which is nice. This will just sit at 4.5% if you have all the mutations that I mentioned later in the video. And it'll keep you covered. I don't even have I don't have Born Survivor on the build, which is one thing, because yeah, I don't have to stim. It's not even enough to bring my health to a point where I have to manually stim. Just healing from conductors is actually enough to keep me alive through the poison blast. So it's plenty tanky. It's working very well for this build. And I have the Bertrust mod simply because I don't have access to the Strengthen mods. You would want the Strengthen mod, as it will reduce the amount of damage that you take from limb damage by 20% per piece. And you probably notice on one of the fights here, I did get a crippled limb from this snake, and I had to stim myself to fix that. So, and if you don't have the Strengthen mods, don't worry, you can run Bertrust and just do that. Just stim yourself when you get a broken limb, fixes it. But work on getting those Strengthen mods. That's what I'm going to do. For the Underarmor, I'm using Shielded Vault 76 Jumpsuit. This is the special point allocation. You'll want 15 in Strength, 10 Perception, 6 Endurance, 3 Charisma, 3 Intelligence, 10 Agility, and 9 Luck. These are the special perk cards. We have 2 rank Traveling Pharmacy. Now, if you're going to run through hikers, if you don't have active, you can run this build without active. It just gives you more max AP to play with. But basically, if you don't have active, just throw on through hikers and then you don't need this card. Same thing with through hiker. You won't need this card. This just opens more points for you to play with and to do more quality of life perks. Bringing the big guns. Your Bullet Storm stack limit is doubled, allowing the Elder's Mark to reach 20 stacks. Easy target, 75% range damage to crippled targets. This is why it's important to cripple the snake at the start of the fight, so you get 75% more range damage the remainder of the fight. Bullet Storm, gain 9% damage per 30 ammo spent plus 10 max stacks. Lock and Load, you keep half your Bullet Storm stacks when you reload, plus 1% reload speed per stack. Scatter Shot, 20% of the damage dealt to a limb is applied to all limbs on your target. This is so that after you cripple the snake, you'll swap to your eye on the snake and keep doing damage there, but it will eventually cripple other plates on the snake, which is why you saw the snake like do the cripple animation more than once on my first run. Under Perception, we have Number Cruncher. Your weapons have 2% increased damage per AP cost. Downranger, you do 20% range damage to far enemies. Tormentor, you deal 20% more damage per crippled limb your target has. This means that as Scattershot is crippling other plates, we're doing more and more damage. Tank Killer, your ranged weapons ignore 40% armor. Concentrated Fire, focus fire to gain 3% accuracy and damage per shot. It's really important that you have this one at full rank. Awareness, gain more VATS accuracy based on your perception. Under Endurance, we have Life Giver, gain more max HP per point in endurance. Ironclad, full rank. Armor provides 25% more protection, double if wearing a matching set. Through Hiker, food and drink weight are reduced by 90%. Again, this is because I don't have Through Hiker on the armor. Natural Resistance, increased elemental resistances based on endurance while not diseased. Thirst Quencher, increased max AP based on endurance while not diseased. This is why I have endurance on the build on all the armor pieces, is to increase my HP and then let Thirst Quencher increase my AP based on my endurance. Is to have high HP and AP, a good balance of the two. Adamantium Skeleton, gain limb damage reduction based on your endurance. Starched Jeans, you will never mutate from rads and Radaway will never cure mutations. Under Charisma, I have Strange in Numbers. Positive mutation effects are 25% stronger if your teammates are mutated too. So when you join a team, you'll see that your stats go up. That means that one of your teammates has mutations. That's what's going to impact this card and whether or not it's going to work. This actually gives you things like Blight Soup will have 125% crit damage instead of 100%, so 25% stronger. And other things, like you'll have higher carry weight. Tenderizer, each attack makes your target take increased damage. Under Intelligence, I have First Aid and Field Surgeon. Gunslinger, your ranged weapons do 12% weak spot damage. Gunslinger Expert, 1% ranged weak spot damage per onslaught stack, plus 3 max stacks. Guerrilla Expert, 1% reload speed per onslaught stack, plus 3 max stacks. Guerrilla Master, plus 5% range damage to close enemies per onslaught stack, plus 5 max stacks. Pack and Light, your action points regenerate faster when not over-encumbered. Enforcer Rank 3, your small guns gain a 15% stagger chance and 75% limb damage. And Gunfu, add 1 rank. This is so that VATS swaps targets on kill with 30% damage to your next target. You technically don't need this fighting the snake, but it's because I use this build as a daily driver, and it's nice to just run around with at events because there's multiple targets, and then as you get a kill, it swaps to your next target automatically. You don't have to re-engage VATS. It's just a nice quality of life perk, and it's a simple 1 rank card, so it's not gonna impact the build dramatically. Under Luck, I have Grim Reaper's Sprint. This is also for events because as Gunfu is doing its thing, swapping kills in VATS. Any kill in VATS can restore action points based on your luck. So not only is Conductor is regenning AP, but then when I get a kill, sometimes this procs and gives me even more AP. So you'll find that at events, it's even better at staying in VATS. But overall, the Elder's Mark will really suffer at distance, so make sure you're close enough to your targets if you want the optimal AP return. Better criticals. VATS criticals now do 100% more damage. Serendipity, while below with 30% health, gain a chance to evade based on luck. And this is simply because I don't have Born Survivor and I'm literally just putting all my faith into Conductors. And so when I drop to below 30% health, it's nice to have Evade. Evade will just make it so that you get a chance to not take any damage. It gives you time to like save your life if you need to stim or something. Ricochet, gain a chance to deflect range attacks based on luck. And this does work with the Poison Spit at the snake. 4-Leaf Clover, misses in VATS now contribute to the critical meter based on your luck. Class Freak, the negative effects of your mutations are reduced by 75%. Critical Savvy, critical hits now only consume 55% of your critical meter. Under Legendary Perks, you'll see full rank Legendary Luck, full rank Perception, full rank Endurance, full rank Agility, full rank Taking One for the Team, full rank Funky Duds. For 100% extra crit damage for 30 minutes, and you can even get up to 125% when you join a team. 15% more damage and 30% more critical attack damage for 3 minutes. And you can get this from Highway Town. There's one of the vendors in there, the medical vendor, sells this. You can find between 2 and 4 overdrive at a time. You can server hop it. You can stock up on overdrive that way. These are my mutations. I have Adrenal Reaction, Bird Bones, Eagle Eyes, Egghead, Herbivore, Herd Mentality, Marsupial. You can run this build as a carnivore. As you saw, the run that I did with no buffs at all would be how the carnivore build would react, would perform. It would be around a minute 27, a minute 30. Because of not running Blight Soup. Herd Mentality, Marsupial, Plague Walker, Scaly Skin, Speed Demon, and Unstable Isotope. So this gives us enough mutations, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 mutations to reach 4.5% damage reduction from mutants, which is plenty. It seems we're very tanky here with this. So that's working really well for this build, and that's how I'm going to run it. I'm going to keep running it like this. I think it's comfortable, and it doesn't add any unnecessary mutations, and it works very well down here. If you want to see me use this build live, I did stream it 4 hours ago this morning, so I was doing the testing there and I showed using it with and without teammates on the team, so you can check it out and see the results there. This is the same results that are in this video, and this was performed live. So if you have any questions or if you're having trouble with the build, you might want to refer to this live stream. I linked it at the end of the video and in the description below. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments section below. I'm Miss Glass, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. GG!